This podcast is powered by the pros at Paschal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPaschal.com.
Pat, how many sausage biscuits do you think you could consume on Friday morning if you were to join us?
Probably at least 3.
At least 3. Okay.
Are you
That's
a
good
great?
number.
Do you gotta have jelly on your sausage biscuit?
I do. Is
Yeah.
that a faux pas? Should I not do
No.
that?
I always look funny at people that think that it is a faux pas.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if Ty would say you got to smother it with obviously some kind of sawmill gravy or something like that.
Well,
and
that's
don't
not
do
bad.
jelly. So
He,
you never know about Ty.
He likes mustard on them biscuits. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've heard that about Ty. I've heard that.
So
He does kind of have that same hair look as Billy Bob had in Sling Blade. But anyway, that's another show. That's a different show.
I forgot about that scene in that movie. Pat,
And he pulls his pants up high over the belly button like.
that's how you're supposed to wear them.
Yeah,
At least
well,
I thought.
absolutely.
Keep doing it, big boy. Just keep doing it.
That's why I'm not married, I think, amongst other reasons.
That's near the top of the list.
Yeah, it's
though.
close up there. Pat, we got our first appetizer of college football. Biscuits aren't necessarily appetizers, but we've got our 4 games this upcoming weekend. You going to fly to Dublin and come on back for the official week 1 after week 0?
You know, I actually would love to. We're fortunate because one of our cast members on our show, Molly Robinson, she was a scarlet dancer for the University of Nebraska for 4 years, and they actually played in Dublin a couple years ago.
Wow.
So she has been educating us on the wonderful Guinness trip and all the wonderful pubs and all the things that went on there. And she said it was a fantastic time. So there's no doubt. I think Florida State and Georgia Tech fans or Georgia Tech fan that will make the trip over to Dublin. I think they're going to have a really good time. But I'm fired up for it, guys. I know you guys are too. It's finally here. It seems like it's been a very long time since we've actually had tackle football.
Yeah.
I remember back at SEC Media Days a month ago when Brian Kelly tried to give us his Irish accent. That was pretty entertaining. As he regaled us with tales of his time of taking a team over to Ireland, as he say. Ireland.
And you would think just hanging out with all the Irish priests and everybody up in South Bend, you thought he might have picked up some of that Irish brogue. But it's interesting. He goes down to Cajun country and he picks up an interesting accent. But yeah, it's always fun when Brian Kelly around, no doubt about that.
So, Pat, that's week 0. You got SMU and Nevada, a couple other games. But week 1 is filled with some really, really important SEC matchups like Texas A&M and Notre Dame. We're talking about the Irish there. Florida and Miami, which could be a on-your-way-to-fire-me game. Clemson, Georgia, and LSU, USC. In your mind, what's the most important SEC game of week 1?
Well, you know, for me, you got to take a look at this Texas Longhorn team, right, against Michigan. I mean, because you're sitting there going, okay, Texas has been decimated by the running back core. Everyone thinks this is going to be a top 5 team. What about Michigan? Everyone that's kind of put Michigan in your rearview mirror, are they going to be able to withstand not having Jim Harbaugh or Connor Stallions on the sideline for this season? So I think that's a big one. But there's also this underlining current of Texas A&M. You know, could Texas A&M be one of those surprise teams in the upper tier? You know, when we were in Dallas and SEC Media Days, not a lot of people were giving them a lot of love. What a difference, a year makes with Jimbo being gone. But I think Mike Elko is an excellent football coach, and he's going to put all that stuff to the side, and he's actually going to coach football, and I think he does it pretty well. So seeing where Notre Dame is, a top 10 team, can Texas A&M compete in this brand-new SEC? Those are just a couple of games that I'm really looking forward to paying attention to from an SEC barometer standpoint.
So let's talk about the 2 schools in your state. Alabama opens with Western Kentucky, South Florida. Then they go to Madison to take on Wisconsin before the bye date. And then in September with Georgia, which is, obviously pivotal. Doesn't even begin to describe how big that matchup is. It seems like Alabama is having a little softer start. I know we talk about Georgia on the tail end of that 4 stretch and Wisconsin in there, but generally we're used to Alabama playing that marquee game. How did Crimson Tide fans feel about the opening 2 games, at least, of the 24 campaign?
Well, now that Nick Saban has retired, I think they love it. because listen, they're concerned about this trip to Madison, Wisconsin, and you can say whatever you want to, but going to Camp Randall, first time that this coaching staff and this year's team is going to hit the road. It's going to be a hostile environment, jump around, and Luke Fickell's a good football coach. So, being able to see what Alabama is able to do, especially on the offensive side of things. We've heard glowing reports about how this offense, how it's going to be able to put up a lot more points than what they did under Tommy Rees and Nick Saban last year. We saw what Kalen DeBoer was able to do in the Pacific Northwest with, let's just be honest, 3- and 4-star talent. So now he's got 4- and 5-star talent at the University of Alabama. So that game's, one of those, okay, guys, I know we're a 9.5-point favorite, but you better be careful going on the road. So I think Alabama fans are completely cool with not playing that marquee matchup, at least in week 1 and week 2, because they want to get their sea legs and they want to be able to see what they got, try to improve on some areas that they need to tighten up before they get to the end of the month and start SEC play against Georgia.
Arkansas and Alabama won't play for the first time, I guess, since '92 when the Hogs joined the league, and that that's something I think a lot of Razorback fans welcome.
Well, listen, the schedule, it has had a lot of casualties, and it's interesting because, Alabama does not play Mississippi State. They played Mississippi State more than any other team in the Southeastern Conference because, obviously Columbus, Mississippi or Starkville, Mississippi is the closest SEC school to the University of Alabama. It takes a little bit over an hour plus on the rabbit trails going from Tuscaloosa. They won't play this year. Alabama won't play Ole Miss this year. Won't play Arkansas, as you mentioned. So it's very interesting to see when you look down at that Alabama schedule and a lot of these teams that Bama has been able to have a really good rivalry with over the years, that's gone by the wayside. Another reason why Ole Miss is getting a lot of love because they don't play Alabama or Auburn on their schedule this year. So it's kind of odd looking down and seeing Texas and Oklahoma on the schedule for a lot of these teams, but not having some of the old school teams that have started this conference not on Alabama's schedule is very odd.
Arkansas and Auburn still square off. Auburn opens with Alabama A&M, who we were talking about earlier, because they're going to be on Arkansas' schedule coming up in a non-con game. California, New Mexico, and then the Razorbacks game 4 before Auburn gets OU. How are Auburn fans that you visit with viewing these first 4 games, and kind of where's Arkansas on their concern level in games 1, 2, 3, 4?
Let's just put it this way. They're going to be 4-0 going against Oklahoma in Oklahoma's first road test in the SEC. There's been absolutely no discussion that there is going to be a bump in the road whatsoever for this Auburn team. Hugh Freeze has done a really good job in the offseason, whether it's recruiting high talent in the state of Alabama. He's gotten about 8 of the 10 top talent committed to Auburn. They're a top 5 recruiting class. He has brought in a lot of dudes from the transfer portal. Defensively speaking, Auburn has got a lot more excitement on the defensive side than the offensive side, just because they're going to be able to rotate. DJ Durkin's the new defensive coordinator. You guys remember him from Texas A&M. Auburn's got a couple guys that used to play for Durkin, and they met with the media earlier this week, and they said, look, it's the exact same playbook at what we were doing at Texas A&M. The difference is that now Auburn really doesn't have that really go-to freak on the defensive side, so they're going to be rotating, no lie, guys, probably about 7 or 8 different dudes on that defensive line, and they really feel like that they've got a really bunch of 4-star talent, not a 5-star, but a bunch of 4-stars that they're going to rotate in and out on that defense, and they're going to be a unit that's going to be able to disrupt things. But they are all about that Oklahoma game. So if they overlook Arkansas, I think Auburn fans are going to be highly disappointed in their season, because they truly believe they will be undefeated going against Oklahoma. They're going to take care of Oklahoma, and they will sit there at 5-0 with the potential of winning 8 or 9 ball games, which, again, if you know Auburn fans, that's kind of the way Auburn fans have always looked at their season. Very positive.
Delusional has been a word with Auburn that's been associated from time to time.
Well, I'm hoping to be in Auburn, Alabama at Jordan-Hare Stadium, and maybe that party will be spoiled for the Auburn Tigers. We'll have to wait and see. Pat Smith with us, co-host of the 3-Man Front, WJOX in Birmingham, Alabama. Pat, staying within Alabama, it sounds like Hoover's going to get that SEC baseball tournament extension. Mm-hmm. I think they voted, part of them voted on it last night. They got one other committee that needs to vote on it tonight, but it sounds like, according to, I think it was AL.com that had a report that it's staying in Hoover.
Yes, that is correct. And listen, I'm not really sure when the last time you guys were able to get to Hoover, but they have incrementally made some just outstanding improvements there at the Hoover Met, whether it's the large RV hookups to obviously the surrounding areas with practice fields, indoor hitting facilities, the businesses and restaurants and bars and everything that has just exploded around that area of the Hoover Metropolitan Stadium. It's a no-brainer. And I know I'm biased because obviously I live here and have attended every SEC baseball tournament that's been played here in Birmingham. But it doesn't need to go to Globe Life Park. It doesn't need to go to Bricktown Ballpark there in Oklahoma City or AutoZone in Memphis. It's a nice, quaint surrounding. It's a good college baseball venue where you get 10 to 12,000 people in there. I mean, it's really a happening, and it's a really great environment. And what Hoover is willing to do over the next couple of years, including adding more features before next year's tournament, they're going to spend a grand total close to $30 million when it's all said and done on even more refurbishments and improvements to the stadium. So I think the SEC, being in the backyard, being here in Birmingham, they see the value of having these tournaments and these high events in certain locations every year. Atlanta for football, Nashville for basketball, and baseball in Birmingham. That was a really great move by the city of Hoover and the SEC to try to get that thing locked down.
Is it just the fact that baseball, as much as we love it, particularly here at Arkansas, it's just not a big enough sport? It's just not, the juice isn't worth the squeeze, so to speak, like you do in basketball, where every fourth or fifth year there's a one-off and you move it away, to Tampa or St. Louis or, somewhere like that they've done with basketball. I'm guessing baseball is just not a big enough animal to kind of grow the geography and the footprint of the conference by taking this event on the road every now and then.
Now, I agree with that. And if you look, don't want to sound like a geography major, but if you look at the new SEC footprint and you added Oklahoma, and obviously Austin's a little farther south and west of College Station, but Birmingham, Alabama is still basically the epicenter geography-wise in the SEC. So it always made no sense, especially with how many people enjoy the tailgate, enjoy to bring their RVs. I mean, there's a group of LSU fans that actually they keep all of their tailgating gear in a Metro storage unit in Hoover.
Oh, wow.
Because what they do is they just come and they just take it out of their Metro unit and they hang out all week at the SEC baseball tournament, whether LSU is good at baseball or not. And, of course, most of the time they are, but they're there. And it makes no sense to go to Globe Life Park and play in a big old facility in Dallas where you're making the rest of the league have to travel, 12 to 15 hours to get to Dallas. And then how many people are actually going to be there throughout the week? You might have a good attendance for the championship game. But I agree with you 100%. That venue and that tournament makes no sense to move it out of Birmingham just to say, well, let's just pacify the people in Oklahoma and have it in Oklahoma City, or let's have it in Memphis, or have it at AutoZone. It makes no sense. So I'm glad it worked out for Hoover.
Does corn dog batter hold up in a storage unit over a year's time?
Yes,
okay.
It does. A lot of preservatives, but they make it work.
Pat, we'll leave it there, man. Appreciate you waking up early with us this morning.
Early? What are you talking about? I'm ready for lunch, man.
Yeah.
Go grab you some. Go get you some biscuits or something, man.
Hey, by the way, how many belts do you think is going to be sent to Sam Pittman since he busted his belt at the Little Rock
Touchdown Club yesterday? He is going to get I would guess a good chunk mailed to him and Jamie's house. That was pretty funny when he said that yesterday.
Or new ties, one or the other.
That too.
That is good stuff. Hey guys, always appreciate it. Talk soon.
All right,
Pat.
Pete, thanks, Pat. BetOnline is your number one source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.